right, so I'm joined with Gihan Pereira. We're talking about the future today because just round the corner, we've got Horizons coming up. And Gihan, you're going to be speaking there and talking about the importance of being aware of what's coming up, future trends, and the implications that has for work. So give us a few insights, Gihan. What can we expect from the future?
Yeah, look, and I can't give you any crystal ball predictions about exactly what's going to happen, Matt. But the idea is that we all need to understand what might be over the horizon so that we can make better decisions now. And look, there's some things, if you're talking about the future of work, there are some really interesting trends that are happening globally and here in Australia as well. For example, we're seeing much more distributed work. Distributed means that not everybody's in the office all the time. It might be hybrid work. It might be people working from like a 4-day week. It might be people working from Bali, for example. So that whole concept of distributed work, which COVID started, is just going to continue. Look, the other big trend that's happening is that we've got 5 generations, up to 5 generations in the workplace at the same time. So baby boomers, Gen X, which is my generation, Gen Y, Gen Z, and the Gen Alphas, who are still teenagers, but many of them are still just starting work. And that causes some interesting dynamics because people are always complaining about the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas being lazy, and they're complaining about those okay boomers. So it causes some challenges, but also some opportunities because we've got such a connected world and such complex problems. We need that diversity to solve those problems. So there's a couple of them.
Awesome. And just to clarify, you're based in Perth, not Bali. Is that right?
And currently, you don't know where I am, Matt, because we're doing this online. Yes, I am in Perth, lovely Perth at the moment. This is where I live.
Excellent. And Gihan, what sort of things can we do to prepare ourselves for what the future has to bring?
Yeah, and that's exactly the challenge that leaders are facing at the moment because we've got so much change happening. So for leaders, and look, we've all been called to step up and be leaders now, it's about balancing what's coming up and around the corner with what you're doing every day in your operational role and looking down as well as looking out. And look, I think the thing is that as soon as you're called to be a manager, a leader, senior leader, the more senior you are, the more of your salary is being paid for you thinking about the future, which is not easy to do because you've got all this other stuff happening in your day-to-day role. The good news is, first of all, be aware that that's part of your role. And second, understand that it doesn't only have to be you. So the old style leader was the one who knew everything and everybody else would go to him, and it was almost always a him in those days, for the knowledge, the wisdom, or their insight. But as a leader now, your job is not to build better followers. It's actually to tap into the leadership skills of everybody on your team.
Absolutely. And look, I can't wait to hear more about the future of work. That's your topic coming up in our first forum. And then looking at doing a culture of change agents with the Horizons participants and finishing off with seeing into the future, some models that you can use to get a bit of an idea of what's coming for you in the industry in the future and some ideas around how to prepare for that.
Yeah, and look, I think the culture of change, that's the one that I'm really excited about because people think change is hard. And look, it's not easy, but creating a culture is not something that you do overnight. And especially in the culture of change agent session, we look at some really small, simple, practical things that you can do to build brick by brick this culture of change, and the opposite, to make sure that you don't create this culture where everybody's afraid of change or they're resistant to change. And there's really simple things that you can do, really simple practical things that you can bake into your day-to-day work rather than saying, let's go off-site and create that culture that we want. So that's probably the one that I'm most excited about. Even as a futurist, I like the stuff that's over the horizon, but I really like doing practical things that make a difference.